How do organisms interact? Organisms in an ecosystem compete for and share resources. They have other relationships too. Change in ecosystems. Population in ecosystems change naturally as the amount of resources changes. Think about the chipmunk at the beginning of the chapter. A population of chipmunks will grow where food is plentiful. As the population increases, more food, more water, and more living space are needed. Eventually, the population may use up all of these resources. So, when population goes up, resources go down. Then, as resources decrease, each chipmunk will have less food to eat, less water to drink, less space in which to live. Some chipmunks will die or move out of the area. As the population decreases, more resources will be available for the remaining chipmunks. The population begins to grow, and the cycle starts again. So when the resources decrease, it will make population decrease. Competing. Populations grow when their needs are met, but populations that share an ecosystem may need the same resources. When two or more species must use the same limited resources, competition occurs. Every organism has adaptations that help it compete for resources. An organism that competes successfully is more likely to survive and reproduce. Living space is one cause of competition. Plant species compete for light and water. Bird species compete for the same nesting site. Predators compete for prey. Number 1. When two or more species must use the same limited blank, competition occurs. A. Houses. B. Resources. Or C. Sunlight. Number 2. Every organism has blank that helps it compete for resources. A. Adaptions. B. Superpowers. Or C. Mothers. Sharing resources. Certain behaviors help animals avoid or reduce competition. For example, both owls and hawks feed on some of the same animals. Because hawks hunt during the daytime and owls hunt at night, competition is reduced. Living in groups can make it easier to obtain food or stay protected. Wolves are predators that usually hunt large herbivores, such as deer. Several wolves will work together to hunt a deer. Deer protect themselves from wolves by traveling in groups. With many deer bunched together, it is hard for a pack of wolves to attack any individual deer. If you have ever watched an animal documentary about Africa, and you've seen lions or cheetahs go after a pack of zebra or antelope, this is what they're talking about. When they stay together in groups because it makes them easier to get their prey or easier to protect themselves. This is exactly what they're talking about. Number 3. Both owls and hawks feed on the same prey. Because hawks hunt during the day and owls hunt at night, blank is reduced. A. Competition. B. Population. Or C. Food sources. Number 4. Living in groups can make it easier to obtain food or stay blank. A. Uncovered. B. Quiet. Or C. Protected. Helping each other. Two different organisms can live closely together for most or all their lives. This relationship may be helpful to both organisms, or it may be helpful to one organism but not the other. These special relationships exist between animals, plants, fungi, protists, and bacteria. Lichens are two organisms that help each other. Lichens are combinations of fungi and algae that live together, often on the surface of rocks. The algae supply the fungi with sugar, nutrients, and water. The fungi protect the algae from too much sunlight and very warm temperatures. Neither organism could survive in its habitat without the other. Living side by side. Moss and oak trees, as shown in the picture, also live together. The tree provides the moss with a sheltered living space, but the moss does not help or harm the oak tree. Some animals also have this kind of a relationship. Beetles, silverfish, and other insects sometimes travel with army ants. They eat whatever food is left as the ants march along. They have no effect on the army ants. Number 5. Two different organisms can live closely blank for most or all of their lives. A. Apart. B. Together. Or C. In separate rooms. Number 6. This blank may be helpful to both organisms, or it may help one and not the other. A. Tag team. B. Marriage. C. Relationship. Causing harm. Sometimes a relationship between organisms helps one but harms the other. The organism that is helped is called a parasite. Parasites are organisms that live on or in another organism. The organism that is harmed by the parasite is called the host. Both plants and animals can act as parasites and as hosts. A parasite uses its host as a source of food. An insect called a balsam woolly adelgid is a parasite that kills Fraser fir trees of the Appalachian Mountains. As the insects feed, they harm the trees. The larvae of the Asian longhorn beetle burrow deep into the tree and eventually killing the tree. Number 7. The organism that is blank is called a parasite. A. Harmed. B. Brainwashed. Or C. A zombie. Number 8. The organism that is blank is called a host. A. Harmed. B. Homeless. Or C. Helped. Number 9. A parasite uses its host as A. A doctor. B. Shelter. Or C. Food.